Hello everybody and welcome back to Typical City. Manchester City have a deal agreed with Valentin Barco. This is news that I'm reasonably happy with. It is an indication that business does bubble underneath the surface, albeit the transfer window is closed. This sounds like a deal that will likely be announced in January. This news comes from German Garcia Gova, a name that I'm not too familiar with in truth, and I'm not that familiar with Valentin Barco. I can't sit here and give you information about a player that I've seen very little of. I don't think many City fans will openly admit that they know too much about the kid. He is from Boca Juniors, who are currently sitting 7th in the Primera division, and yeah, he looks okay. He looks pretty decent. Will he be joining the illustrious Argentinian legends that we've had at the club, like Carlos Tevez, Pablo Zabaleta, Sergio Aguero, or will he be joining the Willy Caballero, Martin D. Michaelis box, which was a bit like... I mean, Caballero, to be fair, he did save us in a few penalty shootouts. Other than that, he was okay. Decent understudy, went on to Chelsea, of course. Martin D. Michaelis was a bit of a disaster, really. I think he had a couple of good games to his name. Not great. 19 years old, Valentin Barco is. He looks decent. He looks on the attacking side of what fullbacks are when they join Manchester City, the João Cancelo type of fullback. That technical ability is clear. I'm not going to give you too much information about the kid because I don't know that much about him. I can't sit here and pretend I do. I haven't seen enough of him to really give you a categoric statement one way or the other. I mean, could he be fitting the bill of... Because we do... I try not to make players sound like assets. You know, like they are just a commodity. They're just some form of money that the club can generate. But we have got those. We have to be open. And Maximo Perrone is another Argentinian. Julian Alvarez is certainly not someone who's been brought in as an asset. He's clearly got space and time and ability to work his way into the Manchester City first team. He's started all 4 Premier League games for us this season, and rightly so. He's playing really, really well. I'm a big fan of Alvarez, and I think he could go on to do fantastic things at the club. Maximum Perrone was a player that I thought, I didn't really see enough of him at City. Wasn't convinced entirely, but in the pre-season we saw some technical ability for him, but he could be fitting that bill of a player that we've brought in, signed him to City for a reasonable fee, and we're probably going to sell him on to make a profit. Could Valentino Barco be another one of those, or could he work his way into the first team and genuinely take up a left-back position? Because Sergio Gomez, for me, isn't good enough at left-back. I like Sergio Gomez going forward, but the question marks start to be raised about Valentino Barco. I have got his stats for you, albeit in the Premier Division. Now, attacking-wise, he's got 11 appearances to his name this season. Now, that's out of 27 games Boca Juniors have played, so he's not even starting all the games for them yet. So we can't expect this guy to just walk straight into the City first team if he's not walking into the Boca Juniors first team yet. Maybe a couple of years of tutelage under Pep Guardiola, you never know, maybe. But so far, 11 appearances, 833 minutes, a goal, an assist, which is nice. 0.5 key passes and 2.3 dribbles per game. That's another stat that is starting to look very familiar with the likes of Matias Nunes, Kovacic, even Gvardiol, Doku in particular. Doku's the main one in terms of ability to carry the ball. Clearly he can do that. Is he going to find enough time in a first team Manchester City to do that? We'll have to wait and see. Defensively, yeah, I'm not convinced by these numbers. They're okay. They're all right. 1.7 tackles per game is decent. Intercepts per game is 0.7 and clearance is 0.3, and he's dribbled past nearly once a game. So defensively, I don't think we're getting an out-and-out defender. And we have been linked with other left-backs so far, so this might not be the only left-back we go for. Personally, I would like us to see us go for another left-back. My personal favourite is Ian Maatsen from Chelsea, previously on loan at Burnley last season. We've also been linked with Alejandro Balde, who sounds likely now that he will be joining, at least extending his stay with Barcelona with a contract expected to keep him there until 2028. He's a fantastic player, an amazing player, Balde, but don't look like we're going to be able to prize him out of Barcelona's grasp. But Ian Maatsen, potentially, because he has turned down a contract at Chelsea. So if you look at him, this is the type of stats that I want to see from a left-back, from a defender as well, you know, because they're in the defence. Nowadays, we look at full-backs, the Trent Alexander-Arnolds of this world, João Cancelo of this world, and it's like, what can they do going forward? Doesn't matter what they do defensively. It does. It absolutely matters. It matters when you give away a penalty to Fulham in a stupid situation where you just let him have a shot and see if Edison can save it. Otherwise, if we go 1-1, they're going to score from the penalty anyway. We spent the whole game with 10 men, thanks to João Cancelo's stupidity defending, and it nearly cost us the game. Thankfully, a 96th minute Erling Haaland penalty rescued the game for us. Anfield, halfway line, one-on-one with Mo Salah. You don't jump in there. You don't jump in. That's what a non-defender does. That's what you do when you're not naturally a defender. Up here, you need to have that defender's instinct. We talk about the attacker's instinct. I'm a defender. I like to think I've got defensive instinct. Erling Haaland has an attacking instinct, and I do think it's hard to train a little bit. You need to have the intelligence to read the game, and some players prefer the attacking side of the game naturally, and some prefer the defensive side of the game. Ian Maatsen, for me, is of that Reece James mould, the one that can do both ends of the pitch. And that's someone why I think we should still be targeting Ian Maatsen, closely monitoring the contract situation with Chelsea, because if they don't sign him up, we should be swooping in for him. I know this video is targeting a left-back that we've agreed a deal with, but Ian Maatsen, for me, is the player that we should be targeting. Those of you who don't know Valentin Barco's fee, by the way, I haven't mentioned that, should have mentioned that a bit earlier, but it's £8 million, release clause has been triggered, which is good price, you know, so you're not breaking the bank for him. We've paid in one instalment, so it's no payments being split up or anything like that. We were happy to fend off competition from Brighton in the process as well, which is good. I'm still questioning whether this is a real first team purchase. You know, is this one to get him under the wing of Pep Guardiola, teach him a few things, and maybe we could see him in a first team for Manchester City, or is this one just to get into the ranks of Manchester City and more of a business move than a football move, if that makes sense? And potentially sell him on for a profit, give him little glimpses in the first team here and there, and advertise him to other clubs as someone who's worth more than 8 million. Because, a year, 2 years down the line, we could sell him for 20, 30 million, you know? Cha-ching! It could be like that, and I don't like to think of players like that, but at this level of the game, are you good enough to make it into a treble-winning Manchester City side? Is he going to be good enough? We have to wait and see. We don't know what his ceiling is yet, so I can't pretend that I do. But for me, this smells of a CFG type move. A player that could go on loan to Girona or something like that. This is that sort of move. Ian Maatsen, on the other hand, let's get his stats up. Those are what I was talking about before. And there you can see, this is Burnley of last season, because he's only played a few minutes at Chelsea so far this season. But last season, 42 appearances. It was in the Championship, mind you, but still, domination. It was dominant from Ian Maatsen. 3,552 minutes, 4 goals, 6 assists, 0.6 dribbles isn't great, so that's one area of his game that isn't so strong, and one area we seem to be targeting is a dribbling ability. But then key passes as well, decent, 1 key pass per game. And then it's the defensive side of the game. This is what I love. I love to see stats like that. 2 tackles per game, 1.7 interceptions, 1.2 clearances, and 1.3. So he's the full package. The full package for me. Is Valentin Barco going to be the full package? And do City still have their eye on the market for another left-back? I'm not convinced we're done with Valentin Barco. You add Sergio Gomez to this, and then another one. You need to make way, don't you? And someone needs to move. So I'm not too convinced what Valentin Barco is actually going to do at the club in terms of first team football, but we'll have to wait and see. Get your comments in below though. If you want to hear more of this type of news, please like and subscribe as well. Typical City is the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.
This is Typical City now.